What was normal in the 1990s, but rare or non-existent now? Hotlines for the weather report, current time, and movie show times. Hello and welcome to Movie Phone. Please push the number of the movie you'd like to see. // beep / y. Don't you just tell me what movie you want to see. Don't you see? Your number is 555 ilk. Talking to your friend's mom to see if they were home. Calling a girl's house and having to ask her dad if you can speak to her. I swear every girl's dad sounded like James Earl Jones. And they always seemed like you were bothering them. You were. Close bracket. Calling the movie theater or looking in the paper for movie times. Hello. And welcome to Movie Phone. Why don't you just tell me what movie you'd like to see? Rachel. A young girl's strange, erotic journey from Milan to Minsk. The Broadway adaptation wasn't too bad lol. Too bad Bette Midler got hurt and couldn't perform. Being unreachable. The best feeling. Truly good for mental health. And better yet, being out camping or in the city with your best buds and also not being reachable by anyone outside the group. Aside from people you'd happen to run into. It was dope just feeling like it's you and your friends out as a group in the wild. Hey, what was the guy from that one thing? I don't know, me neither. Oh well. Music too. I caught the last half of this beautiful song on the radio once. It was 5 years before I heard it again and found out the name it. In Denmark, we had a phone service for that. You could call in and sing or whistle the song, and a few ex-radio hosts would try and figure out what song it was. It was a little expensive. I think $2 or so a minute, but totally worth it. Afterwards, you could spend an hour downloading that song in WAV format on U28 8 modem. That is awesome. I wish Brazil had that. We just kept a burner tape on the deck to record the song, so we can play it back to friends in hope they knew who was singing it. It never occurred to me to bring that to the audio store though. Card catalogs to find books in a library. I miss those. I always found lots of other interesting stuff while flipping through to what I was looking for. Falling down a Wikipedia rabbit hole just isn't the same. My library filled the drawers with seed packets you can take and plant. I love pulling open the drawers and flipping through the flowers and vegetables. Keeping a binder full of CDs in your car. I still have one in mine. All burned discs. Fun times. Pressing play and record at the same time. And then the button pops out while trying to get the song on the radio. I grew up in a small town, but we had a junior college with their own college radio station. That radio station owned all the latest hits and would nightly take requests. So my siblings and I would call in to request a song and then record on our blank tapes. It's literally how we'd make mixtapes without the source music. When you played your tapes so much that when you hear one of the songs from a different source your brain is still expecting the next one from your tape and knows the exact moment it's supposed to come in, but when it doesn't it's kinda weird. Or hearing a song years later without someone speaking over the last 20 seconds of it and thinking it sounds weird. A Discman plugged into a cassette tape with a wire to play music in your car. Telephone booths. Payphones in general. Every time I see a payphone, which isn't very often, I have to lift it and see if it works. It usually does not. Open bracket. Yellow pages. I got a phone book in my mailbox the other day. First one in years. It was about the size of a Goosebumps book. This just made some weird fucking memory bounce back to me about my stoner aunt who I have been estranged from for years. In the late 80s and early 90s, she managed all the ads for a large phone book company, crossing like 40 cities/areas. She worked from home, smoked weed all day, and had a giant mailbox to fit all the yes they would send her. I could fit in it. She called the companies that advertised, managed the copy, and all of the payment. If a company was behind or couldn't pay, she would frequently cook the books for them in trade for services. It was how I got all my senior photos. They owed for their ad. She got them to shoot my whole set and print. And she wiped the debt and kept them in for another round. One of the last times I ever spent with that side of the family was a birthday party for my cousin's kid. She got a bounce house for a whole week. And for the day of the party she also had a popcorn and cotton candy machine. with someone who ran them, and a weird, totally fucking dangerous, and wouldn't exist now, metal mini roller coaster. All free to her in exchange for a couple ad cycles. And it was an open secret that the company looked the other way on, as long as she hit her targets. Too bad she was a mentally ill narcissist who blew all of her money on drugs and put me and many of my cousins in danger many times. So like, she wasn't as cool as she sounded. The duality of coolness. Renting movies, video games, VCRs, and game consoles. 2002, spent 25 minutes walking around a Blockbuster to find a movie. 2022, spent 25 minutes browsing streaming services to find a movie. 25 minutes? Rookie. Yeah. This Saturday night was argue with buddies for 2 hours over which hour-and-a-half movie we were going to rent night. Good times. Good times. And it wasn't an algorithm guiding you to movies. It was some dude who had watched every single film in that rental place telling you which ones were good and which ones sucked. A printed list of family and friends' phone numbers stuck on the fridge. Parents leaving a $20 under a magnet on the fridge for pizza with the number of the restaurant they were eating at. Your friend's parents down the block's number. And maybe your grandmother's landline as a last resort. There's still an old note taped to the inside of one of our cabinets that says mommy XXXXXXXXXX. Daddy XXXXXXXXX that had been written out early on when my kids were little so that they could use the landlines we still had, later converted to iPhones for a few years before going away altogether to call us in an emergency. Both boys have graduated now, but I keep the note in the cabinet because it makes me smile when I see it. My mom's been gone 6 years now, but I still love seeing the list of important numbers in her handwriting next to the phone. I kept my late dad's phone book and recipe notebooks for this reason. I have no reason to use either, but it gives me a feel-good feeling to see his writing now and again. I was also able to use them to create an engraved bracelet with his favorite phrase on it for my mom years after he passed. I used to write 10-page letters to a girl I knew in Norway and she did the same for me back in the States. I'd get like one a month, and it was so exciting to read them. People had to put so much thought into those letters before the internet. So probably that. I miss pen pals and genuine handwritten letters too. Yep, I went from that to an ML pen pal, which was pretty cool when ML was new. But I think the idea of pen pals is kind of over now. Or maybe not. Maybe some old souls are still doing it. I actually met my ML pen pal sight unseen. She drove from Ohio, and I drove from Minneapolis, and we met at the Chicago Institute of Art. We didn't even know what we looked like other than general descriptions. It was super awkward for a bit there, but we eventually broke that down, and had a nice day in Chicago with the help of a Long Island iced tea. Haha. There's community in Reddit who love to send postcard and snail mail. I still cherish this hobby of mine. It's very rare. I don't have any friends who like this hobby. Even my mom's friends keep wondering why her daughter, who's on different generation, still going to local post office to send a postcard. Meeting people at the time and place you said you'd meet them when you made plans days or even weeks ago. You used to say, hey, let's hang out on Tuesday at 7 PM at downtown bar, and then without ever having to text or call again you both meet there. And no chance to cancel 10 minutes before. There were social and tangible consequences for no-show/being late. One thing that still truly bothers me is when you are at a place at the agreed upon time and you get a text that says on my way. Floppy disks. My parents had a file cabinet full of those things. I used to save cool Dragon Ball Z pictures off the internet on them for later viewing enjoyment. Lol. Did this same thing as a teenager but with porn. Right. Which you put in a folder called Dragon Ball Z. Which was in turn a subfolder of PR0N, which also contained subfolders entitled Pokemon and Sailor Moon. Taking your disposable camera to get developed, and having no idea if any of your pictures were even usable until you got the pictures back. My senior year of high school I carried a disposable camera with me pretty much all the time, and would take just dumb candid shots of my friends eating lunch or mid-sentence. Everyone hated it. Now when I post a throwback picture everyone is just like, oh, I have fewer pictures of my entire time in high school than a modern kid has of their lunch. Bringing a camera to school was a very unusual thing to do. And aside from that, film and developing got expensive fast. Same. I had a few from various times we got to use digital cameras and whatnot, but then our old computer crashed and I lost it all. At the time I didn't really care, but now I wish I had them still. Being told to get off the internet so someone could use the phone. Having a download of a big file, which was like 50 MB in those days, ruined because someone picked up the phone. Wait for the bus without doing anything else than waiting. In general, just waiting for things. Alone with only your thoughts. Gamma Boy ran out of battery. Didn't bring a book. Time to people watch. Not a critique on how people are now. More like a critique on just myself. But man, my attention span has plummeted since phone/social media. I honestly can barely watch a movie anymore. Same. I actually deliberately force myself to stop using my phone or music and actually learn to be present in the moment and well, just wait. It feels like you're a child again when you had no access to distractions. I make myself sit and not pull my phone out a lot now too. It's gotten so bad I'll be on my computer watching a video and I'll end up on my phone somehow. I can't focus on one thing